Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite cars. This red Shelby here is a mythical car, thought to A, have been crushed, and B, nobody really knew its entire story until we found the car and then went back in time and interviewed everybody that was involved with the car. Then we actually found the gentleman that built the car, which tied together a lot of the missing pieces. This is a 1967 GT500 Coupe, the only one ever built. But that's not what is the rarest part of this car. This car, when it was first built, was one of the first 3 GT500s. They built a coupe, a convertible, and a fastback. And the fastback became the production cars. They did not build any more convertibles, and this is the only coupe ever. It is also the first car to have the EXP 500 on the side. It's an experimental 500. And what's experimental about it? Well, it has 2 superchargers under the hood. This car goes back to when Carroll just came back from winning Le Mans in 1966. And after he got back, he wanted to put a big block into the Mustang. And that's why the first GT500s were built. All 3 of the cars were built in the San Jose assembly line. It's a rare car when it was stock because it came with a 428 with 2 4-barrels on it and air conditioning from the factory. And it had Shelby written all over it when we tore the car apart. When it was coming down the assembly line, they knew this car was going to be a Shelby, and a special Shelby. You see the spray-on vinyl top. It is the first car, we believe, to have the vented hood. So it also is a very early car. We know it had the inboards when it was first born, and then they moved the headlights out. Not because of legal regulations, but because it overheated, and because they need to get air moving through the engine. It has a lot of things that are different. It has leather seats in it. It has carpet in it like a Ferrari. This was Carroll's answer to beating Ferrari on the track. He wanted to build a car, as he said, to kick their ass on the street too. So this is Carroll Shelby's answer to Ferrari. There were rumors it was painted Ferrari red, that was his sort of to Ferrari. It's tied to a C6 automatic. They blew up the tail shaft numerous times, so they had to build a beefier tail shaft for it, and it has the experimental tail shaft. We found one of them and put it back on the car. Restoring this car was an archaeological dig and going through with everybody in the world that had anything to do with this car and going into the Shelby archives and then finding the part numbers and then hunting down those experimental part numbers to put them all back on this car. It had a strange life that we'll talk about in the documentary, how it came to be and how it ended life. It has a lot of things that are unique. When we tore the car apart, that's another story in itself. Why the car was never found, that's another great story. And what the first owner did with the car, that's a whole nother great story. How the car was disposed of, I guess is the right way to put it, and how we found the car. It is a mythical car. We took great care how we took it apart, how we restored the car to make it as accurate as possible to a photograph we got from the gentleman that built it. So stay tuned to the documentary and all the webisodes that we have that go through all these stories that are just awesome as to how this car was built, found, restored, how it ended its life, and what's next. Stay tuned.